Picture this, it's February 2026. A shadow war that's been simmering for decades, it doesn't just boil over, it explodes. This is the story of a conflict that would change everything, not just for the Middle East, but for one of the world's oldest powers, forcing it to rewrite its entire playbook for survival.
So it all kicks off on February 28th with Operation Epic Fury, a joint U.S.-Israeli strike that does what everyone thought was impossible. It kills Iran's supreme leader. Well, the response was swift and furious. Less than 24 hours later, missiles were slamming into U.S. bases all over the Gulf. The very next day, Hezbollah opens up a northern front from Lebanon. And by March 9th, the Strait of Hormuz, basically the world's oil superhighway, is completely shut down. This wasn't some slow, creeping escalation, no. This was the world spinning out of control in just 10 days.
And if you want to know how you translate that kind of chaos into something tangible, look at this number. In 1 week, just 7 days, the cost to ensure a single ship going through that strait jumped by 6 times. This stopped being a regional conflict and started becoming a global economic emergency practically overnight. But to really understand how we got here, and more importantly, what Iran did next, we have to rewind the clock.
To make any sense of the chaos of 2026, you first have to understand the strategy that Iran had spent the last 30 years perfecting. A playbook that was written in blood, born from the absolute trauma of its past. You see, the 8-year war with Iraq in the 1980s was just a devastating national trauma for Iran. They were totally isolated, their cities were getting pounded, and the casualties were just staggering. And out of that fire, Iran's leaders basically forged 2 sacred rules, 2 commandments. Number 1, we will never fight alone again. And number 2, whatever happens, we will keep the next war far, far away from our own soil.
So how did they do it? This is how. They built what's called the axis of resistance. It's this whole network of allies and proxy forces spread all across the Middle East. You've got Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis down in Yemen, militias in Iraq. The goal here is what the military folks call asymmetric deterrence. But really, it's simple. Use these groups to fight your battles for you. Let them bleed your enemies and make absolutely sure any fighting happens over there, not in Tehran.
And you know, for decades, this proxy strategy, it seemed brilliant, almost unbeatable, a masterclass in deterrence. But the war in 2026, it didn't just find a crack in the playbook. It blew the whole thing wide open, revealing a fatal weakness right at its heart. Just look at this breakdown. The contrast is absolutely jarring. The plan was to fight all wars abroad, through proxies. The reality? Direct strikes, right on Iranian soil. The plan was to have strategic depth with all these allies. The reality? They were isolated, their proxies neutralized. The whole point was to deter a direct attack, and instead, Iran's own leadership became target number 1. Basically, every single thing the 30-year strategy was designed to prevent happened.
So what do you do when your entire military doctrine collapses, when your regime is on the brink? Well, Tehran made an absolutely stunning pivot. They threw out the religious ideology that the Republic was founded on, and they reached for something much, much older, and maybe even more powerful: pure, raw nationalism.
And you don't have to look far for the proof. Just listen to the words. In his first speeches after the war started, the Supreme Leader's language completely changes. He's not talking about defending Islam anymore. Suddenly, it's all about defending an ancient civilization, a Persian legacy going back thousands of years. Now, for this regime, that is a seismic shift. And it wasn't just big speeches. The symbols mattered just as much. The Supreme Leaders started using the word Darood. It's a pre-Islamic Persian greeting, the kind of thing the original revolutionaries used to make fun of. I mean, think about that for a second. That's a sign of a regime in a deep, deep crisis, grabbing for the very nationalist symbols it once tried to stamp out, all in a desperate bid to rally a population that was tired of its religious dogma.
And this new language was matched by a whole new look. State TV was suddenly flooded with images of ancient heroes from Persian epics, showing mythical warriors shooting arrows that looked suspiciously like modern missiles. The message couldn't be clearer. We're not fighting for the Islamic Republic anymore, we're fighting to defend great Iran. It was a total propaganda overhaul, and it also subtly signaled a real power shift inside the country, away from the clerics and towards the more nationalistic Revolutionary Guard.
Now, this massive pivot they were making at home was happening on the world stage too. Iran found itself cornered, isolated, and it started looking east, searching for new allies who shared its vision of challenging the current world order.
And this pushed Iran deeper into what some are now calling the axis of evasion.
Now, this isn't some formal treaty. It's more of an alliance of convenience. Russia brings the military tech and the security expertise. China provides a massive economic lifeline and, crucially, diplomatic cover at places like the UN. And together, they form this bloc of nations that are all interested in one thing: revising the US-led world order.
And right here, this is the key. This is the central calculation that's driving everything for Tehran now. Their leadership is making a huge bet that the age of American dominance is coming to an end. They believe their survival now depends not on talking to the West, but on aligning with other major powers who want to help them tear the old system down.
So you take all of this, the playbook that failed, the sharp turn to nationalism, the new friends in the East, and it all leads to a new grand strategy, one that was born in the fire of that 2026 war. It's a strategy built on one single powerful concept: endurance.
This table really breaks down their new thinking perfectly. For every single pressure point, they've got a countermove. You've got massive protests in the streets. Meet brutal repression and internet blackouts. The people don't believe in you anymore. Pivot to Persian nationalism. Your economy is collapsing. Create a decentralized resistance economy to survive sanctions. It's a comprehensive, top-to-bottom strategy for one thing and one thing only: survival at any cost.
They call this new doctrine asymmetric patience. And what that really means is that the goal isn't to win anymore, not in the traditional sense. The goal is just to endure, to absorb sanctions, to crush protests, to outlast the fickle cycles of American politics, and to just wait. Wait for the global chessboard to rearrange itself in their favor.
So this shift to nationalism and this long game of just hanging on, it's more than just a survival plan for Iran. It's a playbook that could fundamentally change how global conflicts are fought in the future. Which leaves us with one final and pretty chilling question. After total disaster, Iran's new strategy is to simply outlast everyone else. The question is, what kind of world do we live in if they pull it off?